Hey, what is going on, everybody? Justin Fraser here, live. And of course, as you know, with live shows, everything live never goes according to plan. My man Nubiku has me all set, all prepped, 11:59, 2 minutes ago. My computer crashed. Windows crashed. So here I am on my phone as everything is rebooting. The whole show must go on. I'm here from my phone. I'm still coming to you live, of course. Do not fear. We are rebooting. The computer is rebooting right behind me. The show will go on. In the meantime, we're just going to flip the order of things a little bit because later on in the show, we are going to have a 5-minute video to show you with our asset management tip of the day. We're going to go ahead and play that for you right now while I get my computer back up and running. So please stay tuned. We're going to hit you with our asset management tip of the day while my computer gets up and running again. And then we're going to hop right into our live show. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Cash Flow Digest. I am so excited that you are here. Please stay tuned. Join us for this asset management tip. I'll see you back from my computer in about 5 minutes. Here it is, your asset management tip of the day. Nobiku, take it away, man.
Hey everybody, it's Tara Smiley with DeRosa Group and DeRosa Living. So the asset management tip and trick of the week, we're going to talk about resurfacing. Okay, so the majority of DeRosa assets are value add deals, right? We're doing a lot of renovations. They are 70s, 80s builds, some a little older, some a little newer, right? And everybody wants to know, like, okay, I'm planning a renovation. I'm going to go with granite, or I'm going to go with marble, and I'm going to go with blah, blah, blah. As an owner, I want to do like the Mac Daddy of renovations, right? Like I want to do it up. I want it to be amazing. However, the reality is that could be champagne taste Budweiser budget. Usually the greater reality is that despite the things that I want to do that I think would be really cool and great to see in my community as a renovation, the reality is the market doesn't want it or need it, okay? And so, I may have an $850 current market rent on a one bedroom, and I want to get $1,600 of it, and I'm going to put $11,000 in renovations per unit. The reality is I'm probably not going to get that, which means I'm not going to be able to cover my own reno costs long term. Market's not going to sustain it because the resident demographic in that submarket doesn't want or need it. This is where some easier, more cost-effective, faster items and renovations can come in, and one of the top items to do is resurfacing. Now, we all know about resurfacing bathtubs and showers, right? You can also resurface countertops. Guess what? You can resurface kitchen cabinets too. Resurfacing has gotten historically a bad rap because it's like, oh, it's a bad covering, the shelf life on this, the longevity of a resurfacing is 2 to 3 years. It takes a whole lot of application. It's super smelly. It takes a full day to do. Okay, fine. That used to be the case. The reality is a lot of the resurfacing products and vendors that are out there, they do a really good job. And they're able to customize the color of cabinet colors that you want. They can make it super smooth, really high gloss. They can give it a texture. They can make it matte. There's a lot of customization options that are out there, a wide variety for you to choose from in both texture, finish, and also color or color spectrum. You can go with fleck, without fleck. I mean, there's a ton to pick from. The same goes for your countertops. So you want, a concrete look without it being concrete? Well, we got a resurfacing product for that, right? There's a ton that you can do in-house with an on-site team. There's also an even greater variety of products and finish and colors and styles that are available if you use a vendor. Most resurfacing vendors will provide you, if you ask for it nicely, a sample of, things in that color palette that you've talked about, things that, if you express to them, hey, here's what I'm looking for, here's kind of the aesthetic that I'm leaning towards, tell me what you got, right? And so they'll provide you samples and you can test it, try it out. We have vendors that, they're eager to be able to build business. Since we know we're doing a high volume of renovations, they'll come do a unit for free to be able to show off their product because they're proud of what they do. And honestly, it's fantastic. And even better, it's affordable. Affordable, right? That's the real tip and trick. It's a good product. If it's done really well, it's got a pretty decent lifespan. You're gonna have residents that are still gonna damage it, no different than they would damage that brand new, quartz or countertop or granite countertop that you're gonna put in. But it's an affordable option. It's easier to do piecemeal fixes on if need be. And even though it's gotten a bad rap, you know what? It looks pretty damn good. That's my honest opinion. So if you are looking at doing renovations, please consider that resurfacing is a truly viable option for a variety of surfaces in your apartment. Bring some vendors out, ask them what they can do, ask them what they'd suggest, and try a couple things. See what you think. If you like tips and tricks like this, if you like, getting to hear more about asset management, if you want to know more about property management and what do I do and I've got a situation, follow us on all of our social media channels. Honestly,
Okay, we're back and running up in here, guys. I am back. Thank you so much for handling our technical difficulties. And thank you, Tara, for that awesome video on resurfacing. So important. It is a big feature in a lot of the renovations that we do across our portfolio. And it's a real great way to make things stand out. So thank you guys for handling that little flip around in our schedule today. But we are back up and running, and of course, that's the way it goes, right? We do a live show and things are going to flip around. That's the way things go. That's no problem. So today we're going to get into due diligence, but before we do that, we're going to talk about a current event. We're talking about this article that we just read here, and it's about building a 21st century maintenance team. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this article and kind of summarize it for you guys, because this is in the Multifamily Journal. And I wanted to talk to you because, of course, I run asset management for us. I run our property management company here, DeRosa Living, and wanted to talk to you guys a bit about the maintenance side of things and managing our maintenance team and managing something that is pretty tough, can be pretty tough, is the maintenance team. And how do we keep these folks engaged? How do we keep the maintenance team rolling? It's so important because you may think that maintenance could be cheap labor, could be just folks that have to go in and fix loose doorknobs or whatever, but the maintenance team really is the lifeblood of keeping the property running, keeping your residents happy, and so important for us. So let me go ahead and pull up this article here and share my screen if it will allow. And let's click here. Will it allow me? Here we go. So today we're talking about this recent article in the Multifamily Journal on building a 21st century maintenance team. I really wanted to share this because it is very important that the maintenance teams are such a real important piece of our properties. They're a huge component of the communities that we run. And so what the author of this article is saying is that the maintenance team is such an important piece. They're no longer just cannot be an afterthought. You can't just say, "Hey, welcome to the team. Here are your keys." And so what they're saying is that 28% turnover for maintenance professionals across the U.S. Each year, and that's probably about average. That's probably what we've seen year over year, about a quarter of our team. We really try to do better than that. Some years I'd say we do quite a bit better than that, and other years we do worse, I'd say. So probably on average we do hit about 28% or so. So first thing we're saying here is you must provide the tools for success. They're really relying here on tech tools, modern tech. There's everyone is walking around with a phone. So what kind of software do you have that your tech team, your maintenance team can hook into, to log in, see the work orders, see what's required, take photos, log that it's done. There's some really basic maintenance tools, tracking tools that can be done on the phone that they can log that it's done. And this also makes the note that they can also then track and know that rather than having to walk all the way back across the complex to then realize their next work order is back in the same building, that they can see what's next and be able to plan out their day and know that the next work order is maybe just in the next hall down. So being able to plan their day efficiently is important. That's important for you as an owner, by the way, because you don't want them spending their time walking back and forth across the property. You would much rather that maintenance tech be more efficient and just walk into the next hallway and get that next work order done rather than walking back and forth across the property. I'd much rather spend the time, have these folks be in units than have them walking across our properties. Okay, so the next item is offering resources for career path development. They want to know what's next. Do you have additional trainings? We usually offer pool certifications. That's a path that our folks usually like to get certified CPOs, certified pool operators. That's definitely something that a lot of the maintenance techs come in and want to get trained on. Could be that they want to get HVAC trained, some kind of plumbing certifications, things like that. We definitely want, trainings. There's trainings in the community college. There's trainings that some other providers have. If there's trainings available, we want to offer that up. And if that's something they want to learn, then we usually like to provide the time and space for them to go take those trainings, because that's going to make them more valuable and more able to do better work for us. So that's awesome too. Next one is saying compassion. They're talking about understanding, weather conditions and whether it's a -10-degree day or 110. A lot of our portfolios in North Carolina this week is going to be topping over 100 degrees this week here in North Carolina, and we're in June still. So I know my maintenance team is going to be out there sweating, and they're going to be out there hiking, walking across properties. So how do we understand and relate to our maintenance team? This says offer up treats and drinks to help combat the condition. I really think that is not enough. I don't think this article is going far enough to say offering drinks. Yeah, we can stock a fridge full of water. That's sort of base level. But do you have a place for the maintenance team to go get out of the sun? We have in most of our properties at least an air-conditioned space for our maintenance team to get out of the sun. For most of our properties where we can, we have golf carts for them to operate out of, so they're not walking across our large properties. So that does help with that as well. And if they need fans in their workplace or things like that, we definitely want to be able to provide that as well. So where you can, recognize that these guys are out there working in the heat, and that you've got to really be aware of that. Of course, we don't want anyone getting hurt or overexerting themselves. So be cautious of that. Alleviating all on-call hours. So really working with your regional managers and upper management to understand the on-call schedule and how that works, making sure that you're paying for the overtime, paying for the hours, making sure the on-call schedule is fair, I think is incredibly important as well. I definitely agree with that. And then centralizing when applicable. This is talking about basically if you can have multiple properties in an area, and centralizing, basically being able to leverage the portfolio and being able to leverage the power of having multiple properties. We do that as well. So if we have a group of properties, that's why we buy. We go deep in one market. So we might have at one property someone who's great at plumbing and at another property, someone who's great at electrical, and we might cross share across properties. And so that actually makes us more efficient, where I can bring the guy from one property to another when there's the plumbing problem, and cross share when there's an electrical problem the other way. And so that allows us to be more efficient. We don't have to call third-party vendors in quite as often. It allows them to show off and teach skills to other people as well. That means they get to learn, they get to feel like they're teaching other people. And so knowledge is getting shared back and forth as well. So not only do I agree with this article, I actually think that you can do quite a bit more. We try to do more than all of these things as well. This is really just scratching the surface. So, our maintenance team, we really try to do, we really try to engage with them. I'll take this one step further. Every time we visit the property, it's a two-way communication, and we're always talking to the team, and we'll have that conversation on what's going on, what's happening at the property, and what do you guys need? Because I want to hear from them. I want to hear what their challenges are. Maybe there's a thing they're doing that's taking them, 4 hours every week, that if they just had this tool, it'd only take 20 minutes, right? And if they can be more efficient, then that might save us some money, save us some time, make them more efficient, make their job a bit easier. I'm not looking to spend endless amount of money and have them take the easy way out, but I am looking for efficiency. And if I can make their job easier or more efficient, that allows it to free them up some time to go work on the next work order, then that might work. And so that's why I want to have two-way communication. I'm always talking to my team. I know my regional managers, my asset managers, everyone knows it's a two-way communication. Someone has an idea. I don't care if you're the groundskeeper who was just hired, or you've been there, you're a maintenance supervisor who's been there for 5 years. I want to hear from everybody. I want to chat about what you have going on, what you're hearing, what you're seeing, because anyone might have a great idea about how we can be doing things better, more efficiently. And who knows, we might have the money for it, we might not. It might be something we can do now. It might be something we keep in mind for a few years from now. But if it's a way we can work more efficiently, if it's a way that they can be heard, then that makes them feel a bit better, makes them feel like they're being valued, and that their ideas are heard, and that they're a valuable member of the team. And so I absolutely agree with this article. The maintenance team is absolutely critically important to your team. So love this article. Definitely want to salute that article and agree with it. Eric Platter, proprietary app or purchase software for maintenance work orders. We typically, that is handled through your property management tool. When you get to a certain scale, all the big property management softwares have work order management in them. So Yardi, Entrada, even AppFolio, all those will have the work order management within them. Oh, I didn't see all these comments there, Nobiku. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hey guys, what's going on? Happy Friday, everybody. So much great stuff going on. Continuous improvement. Absolutely. So great stuff happening. Yeah, great stuff. So we can always get better, but we can't get better until we're hearing from our teams and talking to them. And look, I'm not the one on the property. The maintenance team is on the property. The maintenance team is the one hearing from the residents. The maintenance team is the one in it every day. And look, they're the ones in the units. They're the ones representing us to our residents every day as well. So we need to make sure they're representing us well. So with that, I'm going to put that article down. We're going to move on to the meat of the show, the cash flow digest here. Let's take a drink. All right. Today's topic, due diligence. Nubika, are we on time? Are we on track here? I know I messed up Nubika's whole schedule. Number 1, because I'm subbing in for Matt. Number 2, because my computer crashed. Number 3, because I can, because I'm in charge. All right. So we are going to, I had one more thing, Nubiku. I'm going to backtrack here on maintenance before we move on. Is part of the maintenance team and listening and asking for that feedback is hearing what when they ask for something, right? So sometimes when you hear from the maintenance team about what would make things easier or more efficient, they will tell you something that actually is an amazing idea. So we had a unit in our property in Fayetteville, and we were using a unit essentially to store everything for maintenance. So it was 198 units. One unit was being used as the office. So now we're down to 197. One unit was being used as storage for maintenance. So now we're down to 196. And we said, hey, you know what? We're getting kind of full over here in occupancy. We actually could rent that unit out if we had a dedicated maintenance shed that was not this unit. And I said, well, yeah, let's actually do the math on that, and figuring out like, yeah, we could rent that. If we renovated that unit, rented it out, the revenue for that unit makes a lot more sense versus filling it with maintenance supplies. Let's go build a shed for the maintenance team. And while we're at it, let's get them some golf carts and everything else. And so we actually went ahead and built a maintenance shed for our team. And this idea had come from the maintenance team. This thing cost us, I think, about all in 40 grand or so. Can we see it? There we go. So between the concrete, the electrical, this was like a 40 by 30-ish shed. There was, we built a wall, so part of it was air conditioned in the back. This had a 220 line, so we could test appliances in it. It had space for golf carts to be stored, all kinds of room for appliances to be stored, shelving in the back for all the tools the maintenance team needed. This was just an open space that had not been being used. And so this thing, we had the money available in the reserves, and it freed up that unit. And so by taking that unit back, we increased the NOI on the property. So we made that money back in the value of the property, and the maintenance team had a dedicated space available for all of their maintenance needs. So really proud of this, and just kind of wanted to show that off and show that we had done this for them. So I'm really proud of doing that project for them. Anyway, listen to your maintenance team. You might get a really good idea that could improve your NOI. So wanted to share that. All right. Next, talking due diligence. What is due diligence? Due diligence is when we find out all the secrets of the property, not only of the property, but of the files. We do due diligence when we are entering into a contract. We are currently, DeRosa is under contract on a 20-unit property. We are going to buy it. We are going to own it. We're going to run it. We're going to manage it. But before we do that, we have to do our due diligence on it. Part of every purchase you do, you should be doing due diligence. It's something most of us know we should do. It's probably something most of us are not really sure how to do. So I'm going to tell you a few due diligence stories. I'm going to show you some photos of due diligence. I'm going to show you some things that have come up during our due diligences, give you some tips and tricks and things like that. So first thing you're going to do, I always recommend this book, is the Due Diligence Handbook for Commercial Real Estate. I have no affiliation with this guy. I don't get any handouts. I probably should for how many times I recommend it, but we can put a link here. The Due Diligence Handbook for Commercial Real Estate. I always recommend this book. It's a very easy to read. I think it's like 96 pages. Very easy breakdown. Due Diligence Handbook for Commercial Real Estate. I'll end up putting it in the chat, or Nabiku, if you got it, you can put it in there. It's a really good book, really good breakdown here. Yeah, it's like 100 pages or so. But basically talks about roof inspections, how the PSA works. Easy read, light read. Thank you, Nabiku. Easy to read book, gives you a really good breakdown on how to do due diligence. It helped me when I was getting started. Some other folks had recommended it. Gives you a really good overview. Until I write my book on due diligence, I'll recommend that one, right? So where do you start? I would say that you probably want to start with your property manager. And so that's usually where we start. We start with our property management company, and we'll give them a call and say, hey, we've got this one under contract. Let's schedule some DD. And typically your PM company, depending on the size of the company, the size of the property, can either handle due diligence for you, or can handle a piece of it for you, or can recommend a company that can do due diligence for you. There are third-party companies that will just do all the due diligence for you. There are property management companies that can do a piece of the due diligence for you, or you can do it all yourself. You can really kind of ad hoc this, piece it together any way you want. I like to kind of combine different elements depending on the size of the property, the location, and all that. So typically I want my property management company as involved as possible, because if they're going to be managing the asset, they need to be involved in the due diligence. They need to understand the asset as best as possible. What I typically don't want to do is hire a third-party company to go do all the due diligence and hand that off to a management company. I want the PM company to be involved, really understand the business plan, and they can't do that unless they're there involved in the due diligence. So it typically works best if your PM company is involved, if they're going to be managing that asset. And one time we did a due diligence with a PM company, and that led them to tell us that they did not want to manage that asset because they did that due diligence. And that's okay. We ended up buying the property anyway, and had a different management company manage it. But it let us know that actually was not the right management company for that asset, even though that property turned out to be very good for us, very lucrative deal. It was not the right company for that property, but we still got a good due diligence package. You can hire a company to do due diligence. It cost us for that property. It was a large property. It cost us $10,000, $12,000, something like that. That's a due diligence cost for the deal. And you pay it, you get a whole big set of reports, and you move on, and that's fine. But they were not the company. Even though they did the due diligence, they handed us all our reports and bids and everything else, they ultimately did not manage it for us, and that's fine. But if you can, ideally, your PM company would be the company that manages and does the due diligence. So, all right, so you hire your PM company. What are they doing? Well, we're going to do a physical due diligence. And in that physical due diligence, we want to crawl all over the property. We want to get into every unit if possible. And I mean every unit. Whether you're looking at a 5-unit or a 500 unit, I want you to get into every single unit. Typically, the only exceptions are going to be COVID, which really these days is not much of an exception anymore. Pretty much they can only claim COVID, or they can claim if there's a child in the unit, an unsupervised child, you cannot enter a unit. Those are pretty much the only reasons that someone cannot claim that they can claim that you cannot enter a unit. The existing management company is going to give notice. You're going to provide a date. Hey, we're going to enter. So right now we have a property under contract. July 2nd is our due diligence day. We've already provided notice to the current management company. We are coming on July 2nd. So they are providing notice to all residents. DeRose is coming on July 2nd. Notices will be posted. DeRose is coming on July 2nd. DeRose is expecting to enter every single unit on July 2nd. Notices will be posted. We will follow all local regulations, all the rules. Notices will be posted in time. So every state is a little bit different. If it's a 3-day notice, well, July 2nd is a Tuesday. So the Sunday before, or if it's the Friday before, fine. The Friday before, the management company will post those notices so that by that Tuesday, we can enter. So we will enter those units. We are going to look at everything inside, and not just look, but we're going to document. And so you typically want to do due diligence with a team. You want to have a team. You want to have someone who's responsible for note taking, and that could be physical note taking. It could be an app. There are some great tools. There's like happy.co. There's some very powerful due diligence apps. there's endless amounts of apps that you can use. We've used a few different types for a small due diligence. Sometimes an Excel sheet, sometimes just notes, sometimes just paper notes works too. Depends what your team is comfortable with. Usually your PM, the company you're hiring has a tool that they're used to using, and you want them to use what they're comfortable with. So we're going to go with that. You're going to want to have some photo takers. You're going to want to have some specialists with you. So typically, I will bring, I will call my GC, my general contractor, and he's going to call his crew. He's going to bring roofers. He's going to bring plumbers. He's going to bring folks that are going to scope the lines. He's going to bring electricians. He's going to bring anything I had concerns about. If I had concerns when we first walked the property about some retaining walls that maybe looked a little funky, or some bricks that were a little funky, maybe he's going to bring a structural engineer along the way. If I had some concerns about some big fencing, he might bring some fencing. If I had concerns about some big gnarly looking trees, we might be bringing out some big guys that can handle some big trees, landscaping work. If I have concerns about the parking lots, I'm going to bring out guys that can get me real solid bids on the parking lots. If I've got a pool's a big one. Most GCs are not going to have the expertise to handle pools, so I need the pool inspected, the pump, all that kind of stuff. If I can get into the pool area, I need all that inspected, all the mechanicals in there, any kind of common area stuff there, boilers, chillers, all that. If there's big common area, things like that. I'm going to need to get onto all the roofs. I'm going to need to get into every common area thing. If there's specialty things like gym equipment, I'm going to want to get somebody out there that can look at all of that. If there are basements, I might need a specialist that can get in there and look at potential flooding or basement issues that could be caused in basement, or if there's need for sump pumps or things of that nature. Could be staircases, could be windows, could be any number of big CapEx. Basically anything that you saw in your initial kind of walkthrough of the property that you thought might be an issue, you're going to want to bring a specialist. You're going to want to bring somebody out to get those bids together during your DD, because you want as much information as possible. This is the time you got it cracked open. You got access to every unit. You got access to all the basements, all the common areas, all the roofs. So get out there, get everybody. You want a flurry of activity happening. You want everybody all over the place. You want everybody to be climbing all over the property. Like I said, it's like a fun kind of hum of activity, right? So you're getting all the bids together. They're gonna you basically, the way I like to do it is I communicate that with my GC, and then he communicates that to all the different subs, and he'll go and let everyone know the different areas of concern, and then he'll handle and coordinate all that. You're also going to have pest, so we're going to be getting pest inspections. We're also going to be probably getting things like Eric, I don't know that book. Eric is asking about how does the book recommendation, the hands-off investor. I don't know how that book compares as far as a due diligence deep dive. I have not read that with respect to deep dive investing due diligence. I thought that was due diligence on syndicators, not necessarily due diligence on how to do due diligence on a deal. So I don't think I've not read that through that lens. We're also, when we're doing due diligence, we are looking at the team. So part of due diligence is we're going to interview the team that's there. We're going to have our new property management team interview the existing property management team. We want to know, do they want to stay on? We want to know what kind of work orders are they dealing with? We want to know what kind of, what are the problems that the current resident base has? Both, we want to talk to maintenance and in the leasing office. We want to find out, all the things that we were assuming, how are renewals going? What are they renewing for? How fast are leases going? What kind of marketing is working? What units go more? What kind of concessions are needed? All the things. You're basically interviewing the whole staff, not only to find out how things have been going, but as potential interviews, because they may want to stay on as your employees. Because when you have a large property, typically the staff will want to stay. Not always. It's a mixed bag. But think about from the staff member's perspective. They go to work at this property every day. Just because the owner's changing hands doesn't necessarily mean that they want to leave with that owner. They go work at this property. They don't necessarily, maybe don't care who the owner or management company is. They want to go work at this property. So chances are they want to stay at that property. And so they want to interview with the new ownership group or the new property management company. So chances are they will tell you what you want to know about and find out about that new property. So a huge wealth of information. When we interviewed the staff for Diamond Ridge, I'm going to show you some photos from Diamond Ridge. The maintenance tech said that property was known in town as the monster of Winston-Salem. So that was good news to find out during our due diligence. But hey, you find out what you find out, but you never know what you're going to find out during those interviews. You find out, are they going to stay on? Are they interested in staying on? And just because they're interested doesn't mean that you are interested, because you don't know. They still have to pass your qualification standards as well. So we definitely want to interview the staff. We might have staff that we want to bring on anyway, so they may not fit for us, but maybe they'll fit for a different property for us in our portfolio or the management company's portfolio. We also then are, so we're building our CapEx budget. We're understanding our site staff, and then the leasing team. Typically, we're bringing in managers from other properties, and we're looking at all the leases. And what we're doing is we're taking the rent roll, and we're matching up the rent roll against the leases, and we're literally reading the leases. And we're looking at the security deposit amounts that are in the lease compared against what is listed on the rent roll, compared against what is in the registered for in the bank account for that person. And so you've got a couple data points that you're looking for the lease that you want to check against, and you want to make sure that the data has been collected, the lease is valid, that the rent roll is accurate, the data that's being represented in the software is the data that's in the lease, start date, end date, deposit amount, all those things, so that the data that we're working off of is accurate. Because the rent roll in the system is not enforceable. The lease is what's enforceable if we ever end up in court. So that's where we have to literally go through and read lease after lease. And on a 20 unit, that's easy. On a 300 unit, that's going to take some time. So your due diligence period may take longer than a day on a much larger property. Think about getting into every property, every unit. When we did Diamond Ridge, our 336 unit, I believe it was a 3-day DD. I think we had 3 or 4, 5 teams maybe. Each team, 5 teams of 4 or 5 people split up, each to get into each unit. A whole bunch of teams to get into the leases. And the physical DD happened over 3 days, but I believe the lease audit side of it lasted, a week or 2 weeks or so. It definitely takes a lot longer for them, the leasing team, to get in and read all the leases and get into all that. So all these things are kind of happening simultaneously, and you start to get all this information back sort of in piecemeal, but ideally you're collecting the data, collecting the reports, and you're starting to validate. And hopefully you're validating a lot of your assumptions. Maybe you're getting some good news, maybe you're getting some not so good news, but you're basically matching it up against your underwriting. You're matching it up against the things that you thought would work, and your assumptions from your underwriting. Things that I want you to think about sort of as you're walking a property or doing your due diligence. I want you to think about, what does the property look like at night? Have you visited the property in the dark? How does it show, right? I'm going to show you guys some pictures of Diamond Ridge before, or as we were doing our due diligence, before we did any work to it. This is $4 million ago, basically, and show you guys what we did. And by the way, that's my best tip for you, is take as many photos as you can, upload them all to a shared drive. We use Google Photos. So I have this log forever. This is my 760 photos from the 2 days, 3 days that we went and did due diligence at this property. I will always have, and I can always go back and reference this. And so it's uploaded in Google, and I have this record, and I have this for every property that we have. And I just take as many photos as I can. And yeah, there's a lot of duplicative photos in here, but I just snap away on my phone. I get it. It gets all uploaded to the cloud, and it works great, because then I have it for things like this. Then I can share it with you guys. So definitely first step, first night we got there, we start taking photos at night. How do the signs show up? How does the property look at night? What does it look like? Is it dark? Obviously, are there common lights on or off? That light over the dumpster, great. I'm looking for dark areas. I'm looking for things that look out of place. I'm looking for graffiti on the walls. I'm looking for basically places I would or would not be comfortable kind of at night. Long dark corners of the property that I probably would not be comfortable going into. This was definitely an area we wanted to lighten up and brighten up with some lights coming in, things like that. Then we get into, okay, we want to come in and take a photo of everything. What are they offering? Okay, this person, that day they were offering half off the next month's rent. This day they were offering the price. You see, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, they were $525. 2 bedroom, 1 bath, $559 for a 2 bedroom, 1 bath with their special, with a half month free. That unit is now going, I believe, for about over $900, which is pretty crazy to look back and see that. But that's the day we were sitting there for due diligence. And so, good to have that record. I also take videos, so I can go back and see, what did this look like. I can go through and see video of this unit that I walked through that day. Obviously, I have photos. I'm going to scroll through any photos with people in it, but what did the units look like? Obviously, with 336 units, every unit looked a bit different. But yes, the beautiful playground that was there, we have record of that. Obviously, these are all of our before pictures, but it's great to be able to go back and see the records, see our beautiful pool before we did anything to it. This is due diligence. This is taking photos of everything so that you have that record. The other great thing about having these photos is that when you leave your property, if there's something that you've forgotten about or didn't quite remember or needed to go back and get another bid on, if you've taken enough photos, maybe you have a snap of something that you can go back and say, oh wait, yeah, I did remember. Maybe I do have a shot of the water splash up on that building down there. Maybe that wasn't the subject of your photo, but if you took enough, maybe there's something that you caught, maybe unintentionally, that can help you when you go back. So definitely want to take a lot of photos of as much as you can. Unit types, flooring, counters, layouts, exteriors, of course, any kind of flooding, any kind of amenities, you definitely want to take photos of that. This property looks so different. This was us negotiating for the loan that night, talking to our lender. We came back next day. We had asked for them to drain the pool overnight. They did. And then we got to work trying to figure out what was happening in the bottom of that pool that next day. Trying to figure out all the stuff that was down there. It was a mess. Get into the pool house, like I said. Trying to figure out what was happening in there. Trying to look at all the structural issues going on around there. Like I said, we had people all over that property, checking out the electrical, checking out the creepy stuff in the basements, checking out the plumbing and the lines in there, all the things, right? All the safety issues, the staircases that were broken and rusting, and all the electrical and the mold and all the things, man. Some structural things going on there. The signage. Oh, and of course I'll show this because it's Matt, but the videos. So if one other important thing is if your whole team is together, or if you're out there doing due diligence and your team is there, use that time to maybe shoot some content. If you're going to be doing capital raising, that's a perfect time to shoot some videos for capital raising. So when we're out there doing due diligence is also when we're out there getting ready for our capital raise. And so we will use that time with the team together, while I'm off running the due diligence and working with the teams there. Matt and the rest of our team is there working on the capital raise, figuring out the stories to tell, getting that all together. So we're not just sitting around, waiting for someone to come back and tell us how bad the sewer lines are, but actively working and raising the capital and all that too. So leverage the time, leverage the fact that you're there together. Put Matt to work and make him clean the bottom of the pool. Make sure you take a photo of that. That's important stuff there too. And see, that's me just looking at these guys doing the work, right? See, we do. Matt does work. Proof Matt does do some work. See, even when he's not here today, I'm going to take a jab at him because I can. So all that, guys, that's kind of it. That's kind of my summary on due diligence. At the end of it, you get 1 million reports. I'll show you just a few. One should be a cap. Oh, that did not share. Hold on, let me go get it. Share screen here. I'll share the screen here. One is going to be a heavy kind of CapEx report. I'm not expecting you to read all these lines here. Just know that this is the CapEx report that had come back from our DD listing like, hey, you're going to need 96 of these appliances. Going to cost you $1,930 each. So we're expecting $185,000 appliance packages. Okay, great. 77 ice makers and 96 USBs and on and on and on and on, right? Some roof repairs for $522,000 and foundation work for $3,500 and landscaping for $200,000. All the things with notes, and their budget total was about $5.3 million, which is pretty close to about what we spent. So that's not actually terribly far off. We ended up cutting a few things from the scope, adding a few things later on, but pretty thorough list of everything that we wanted to do there. The other thing you're going to get, this was a summary report that we got. You get all kinds of detail reports, and it depends what software the team is using and all that. But what I did like is, we got a list of, here, I'll zoom in a bit. So here, this is kind of a summary. So this summarized that, okay, for balconies and railings, 168 needed no work, 3 of them and 29 of them needed to be replaced. I can think they're breaking that between the two sides. So they were saying that about 32 needed to be replaced and 135 were fair, so they probably needed some work, right? Bathrooms, vanities, and sinks, this many need to be replaced, and this 288 were in fair condition, and on we go, right? And so how many air handlers need to be replaced right away? And so you can really build your CapEx budget based on this, right? Evidence of bed bugs, right? 300 no, that's good. 35 yes, that's not so good, right? But at least then we know and we can handle that appropriately. And so this kind of summary at the end really helps you kind of cross-check with your budgets and make your plan. So this is a really great, especially on a large property like this, when you're looking at sort of mass amount of units. But if it's 20 units, then you should know every single unit. Unit 1 has X, Y, and Z scope. Unit 2 has A, B, and C scope. And you should have all of that together for each and every specific unit here, rather than just a summary count. And by the way, we did get detailed reports that showed each of these per unit, but at least for building a CapEx budget purpose, you get all of this. So sifting through all those reports ends up being a fairly large effort as well. So that's due diligence. Love it. Due diligence is the time for me that's so exciting to dig in and find out the secrets of the property, find out what's going on, find out what was represented well, what was misrepresented. It's also a great opportunity to find additional revenue opportunities, and that's the sort of the really fun part for me, is starting to think about, what else could we do here? How else can we stretch our dollars? Where else can we make some money off of this place? Is there opportunity for a cell tower here? Is there opportunity to bring in other revenue in other ways, rent other spaces? Is there too much parking here? Can we rent out some parking to a different place? What other opportunities are there? So keep your eyes open, and be on the lookout for other ways to make some money. So that's due diligence. That's something that I'm really passionate about and really excited to have shared with you guys today. Really excited to do due diligence on our next deal, which is DeRosa Capital 18 here, which is already actually fully raised, believe it or not, fully raised on day 1. Didn't even go public on that one, but more coming soon, actually, especially if you are a non-accredited investor. We are going to have some non-accredited deals coming very, very soon. You have to reach out to Jacob, though. You have to have a conversation with Jacob and get to know Jacob before you invest with us. If you are a non-accredited investor, you must talk to Jacob before we put out any kind of non-accredited offering. So you must reach out to us if you are interested in investing. You have to talk to Jacob. So if you have not talked to him, you will not be eligible to invest if we happen to have a non-accredited deal coming soon, and that might happen. So be on the lookout for that. And you can reach out to him. I think Nubiku can probably post how to do that, or just check out derosagroup.com/invest. Absolutely. And if you want to learn from me or from us, it's derosagroup.com/accelerator. And with that, always happy to chat, guys. You can check me out on Instagram, Justin_88realestate, derosagroup.com, all those things. Thank you so much for joining me on Cashflow Digest. Always a great time to fill in for Matt. Happy to have you guys here. Love the conversation. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.